Okay, it's time to get started. Can we close the doors in the back? All right, everyone. Welcome to the Postgres Dev Room at FOSDEM. First speaker is Letitia, who's going to talk about demystifying contributing to Postgres.
Hi. So let's talk about contributing. Who in the audience think he's already contributing to PostgreSQL? Okay, so you're wrong, because everyone in this room is already contributing. You just don't know it. So let's start. First, I'm Laetitia, and Laetitia is close enough. No, it's okay. I'm just teasing you. I've been a DBA for PostgreSQL for more than 10 years. And in my company at the time, I had to learn some Oracle and SQL Server too. I also did some DB2, but I don't say it because I don't want to do it again. And you can follow me on Twitter, and that's it. So my actual company is Loxodata. It's based on 3 pillars. The first one is Postgres, of course, because it's our field of expertise. And then we have DevOps, because we need information to flow freely between the developer world and the operational world. So we try to help. And then when a customer wants to use the cloud, we're here to help control data and what you share. So here you have me. 6 months ago, I wanted to contribute, and first I didn't know I was already contributing, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know what I could do to help, and mostly I didn't want to mess up the project that's so wonderful. So I will first introduce how the community works, what are the projects and tools used in the PostgreSQL community, and after that I will tell you the story of my patch, which is, as you will see, really tiny. And after that we will focus on you and how you can help. So here is a photo taken in 2006. Now the community has grown a lot, and you see that there are a lot of nice people. I tried to do a drawing with to categorize how to help, and just keep in mind that one person can be in more than one category. It's not because you choose to do one thing that you can't do another thing. So first you have the core team. It's the center of PostgreSQL. And then you have committers. Committers are between the core team and other people. Then of course you have developers. PostgreSQL is a code project, so there are developers, but there are also reviewers, and you should know you don't need to be a developer to be able to read code. And of course, PostgreSQL is a serious project, so there is code review. And there are translators. You don't have to be a developer to be able to translate. Then we have advocacy. Advocacy is about advertising. Nowadays, you may have a wonderful project, a wonderful product, but if you don't advertise about it, it won't work. So there is an advocacy group, and it's supported by associations and local user groups. And what I put in community, it's not contributing, but it's community, are users to me, and I had discussions because people don't agree, and it's okay. Users are part of the community, and I know that once you use PostgreSQL, you'll fall in love because it's wonderful. So it's not a problem. Once you become a user, you'll take the next further. So the core team. The core team is a five members team, and they act as project managers to PostgreSQL. What's important is no one owns PostgreSQL. It's totally independent. And the core team is here to take direction and cut discussion where there are too many discussions about one feature or another. Committers. So to caricaturize, you can say that committers are upgraded developers. They still write code, but they have more responsibilities because they are responsible for code quality as they have Git push permission. We will talk about Git later. It's more or less 15 people, and they work together to ensure the code keep wonderful. So developers. So here is a meeting of major developers, but there are a lot of minor developers. PostgreSQL code is written in C because it's better for performance, but it's C with a style guide. And you need to comment really a lot. I talked with a developer once, and he told me it was the first time he was asked to put 3 lines of comment for a simple if statement. But it helps keeping the code clean and neat, and it's really important. So if you create a patch and you've got a feedback saying you need to comment more, don't be ashamed or anything. It's quite normal, and when you will improve your commenting, the patch will be committed. Reviewer. So as I said earlier, you don't need to be a developer to be a reviewer, but some technical background is needed. What you have to keep in mind when you're doing code review is if you don't understand what the code is doing, there is great probability that others won't understand either. So you may send a feedback and asking for how it's working and so on, and after you may say that maybe the comments are not clear enough and so on. Translators. So obviously you don't need to be a developer to be a translator. What's need to be translated in PostgreSQL projects are software messages, documentation, of course, but also press releases, websites, and so on. So you still need some technical basis, because I don't know how you could explain PITR if you don't know what the writer headlog is, but you don't need to be a developer. So the advocacy. The goal of the advocacy group is to promote PostgreSQL use. It shares information about PostgreSQL, as you can see in blog posts, events, or even booths like here in FOSDEM. And it also helps sending informations to media as press release and so on. If you look at PostgreSQL.org website, there are two associations. There is the European Association and the US Association. Please consider going to the European Association if you're European, as the fee is only 10 euros for 2 years, so it's quite cheap, and you'll help the project this way. Local user groups, it's groups that are created by countries. So in this map, any country in brown is a country when you will find a local user group. If your country is in white, you're welcome to create one. And also in the map, I tried to put meetups. It's Slonik you'll see here. I made it in early January, and since then I've seen that 2 or 3 more meetups were created. So again, if in your city there is no meetup, no PostgreSQL user group meetup, you can create one. What's important? Why do you want to meet other PostgreSQL users? It's simple, because with more brain, you have more solutions. So you can gather with other users and share anything about issues you had, how you solve it, and you will have other point of view and other ways to solve your issues. And you also will share thoughts and use cases and ideas and so on. And when you will find another issue, maybe you will have already the solution because you have already discussed about it with someone who had something similar. So you will be rewarded when you will talk to other people in the community. Let's talk about projects. So in PostgreSQL, projects are in Git repositories. I tried to categorize these projects because there are a lot. And in this illustration, the bigger the box, I think the bigger the probability you'll need to clone that project to contribute. But it's only my point of view. I could be completely wrong. So first, of course, there is the PostgreSQL project itself. Then we have a translations project that you can contribute to, and contributions and tools. Some have their own Git repository, so don't be afraid to Git clone them, to look at the code and see if you can do something. And that one, I don't think you will clone it. It's only maintenance stuff, as commit fest, the Git repository itself, and so on. What I put in packages are, of course, packages for Linux distributions, but also Windows installers, and so on. So maybe you would like to contribute to this one. And the last one is about communication, so mailing lists, websites, and so on. So how does it work? PostgreSQL project has a roadmap, and it's quite simple. There is one major release per year and one minor release per quarter, but it's a minimum. If there are some security issues or some patches, some bugs really that we need to fix really urgently, there will be more than one minor release per quarter. The difference between major release and minor release is quite simple. when you do a minor release, you just need to upgrade the binaries, and it's okay. For major release, you need to upgrade your data too, and that could be a problem. And after that, we have Commit Fest. So Commit Fest is a 1 month long period of time when most patches are committed. It's as if we were sending a signal to developers to say, stop writing code, we need people to review it because we have a lot. So it happens every 2 months. And we just ended the January Commit Fest a few days ago. And you will find information in the commitfest.postgresql.org. If you want to review code, you'll have to go there and to register as a reviewer and to pick the patches you want to review. Tools. So, of course, the community relies on tools. First, there are some websites. I'm sure you already know PostgreSQL.org as maybe the wiki.postgresql.org or postgresql.org/docs. Sorry. But there is that one that's really great. It's called planet.postgresql.org, and in that one you will find blog posts about PostgreSQL, about old feature, about new feature, what's going on in the community. You will find everything here. So, PostgreSQL community works with mailing list. I know it's quite old-fashioned, but it's stable and it works, so why change it? First, there is the bug submission form you will find in postgresql.org. Just please, if you have a security issue, don't set it in the bug submission form because it's public, so anyone can see it. Use that mailing address, so to be sure it's kept private, just to leave developers the time to fix it. If you're a newcomer to PostgreSQL, maybe you have some question you don't dare to ask because you think it's silly. So there is no silly question in that mailing list. And if you're a more advanced user, you can subscribe to this mailing list to answer. And the last one, the developer list, the hackers list. So just be careful because you will be overwhelmed with mail because these guys are so chatty. They can make more than 50 subjects in the same day, and for each subject you can have 10, 20 mails. I think they are always connected and always sending mails to their friends. But so maybe you won't have time to read any mail in that mailing list. I don't know if there is a human in Earth that has time enough to read any mail in that, every mail in that mailing list. But you can try, and you can pick which subject you want to read. IRC. There is an IRC channel on irc.freenode.net. So what's good with IRC is there is no history. So if you think your question is silly, don't be ashamed, there is no history. So it's not recorded, it's okay. Last time I checked, there were more than 1,000 people connected at the same time. And so that's 1,000 people waiting for your questions. So go on. Twitter, that's brand new. PostgreSQL has a community account. It's simply @PostgreSQL. I use it to stay in touch with what other PostgreSQL users are posting a blog post and so on, and to see discussion about features and so on. It's quite relevant. And then there are some other ways to stay in touch. There is a PostgreSQL Slack, there is a Postgres Hangout, and of course you will meet some people from the community in forums as Stack Exchange or Stack Overflow. And then we arrive to the last tools, the ones that make people be afraid. So don't be afraid. If you think you're mastering Git, good for you. But well, I will tell you that my colleague thinks my level of Git is XKCD. That is to say, when I see any error, I take my modification apart, I delete my repository and clone again, and then I add my modification, and it works. So don't be afraid. What you have to memorize is git clone, git pull, git diff. And if you want to show off how smart you are, you can use the option rebase in git pull. But there is a wiki page for the use of Git in the PostgreSQL project. So you can refer to that page. It's quite well written. So, my story. So first, just to be sure, what's a patch? A patch is a piece of software to fix or improve it. So you don't want to make a patch to make PostgreSQL worse. And then, so, my story. I was discussing on Twitter with a friend who had an issue with a constraint, and he had to do an alter table. And so, as I don't know documentation by heart, I went to the documentation and I saw that there was a missing section in that alter table documentation page. So I found it really easily as it was written in the create table documentation, and as discussed with my colleague, and one of them told me, oh yeah, I know, I've seen it for years. I told him, hey, why didn't you do anything about that? So first I reported a bug, and then as it was in Warsaw, there were a lot of Guru members of the community, so I grabbed 2 or 3 of them, and I asked them for help. And after that, I could submit my patch. So, how to create the patch? First, you have to git clone the repository and to build from source code. And as my patch was about documentation, I had to build documentation from source code. So you will find anything you need, everything you need in the wiki page. After that, I only had to copy paste the missing section from the create table page to the alter table page, so quite easy. And I rebuilt the documentation from source code, and it built. So after that, I had to create a patch. To create a patch, we use git diff. So it seems complicated because you have 2 wiki pages. The first one is how to create a clean patches for PostgreSQL, and the other one is how to format your git diff output. And it's quite complicated. You have to modify something you don't know about, and you're afraid you will mess with your Git configuration and so on. So I searched, and I found that even the best sometimes don't follow instruction, and it was so easy to do. Just a git diff, filter diff, format context. So what's the difference between a git diff with context and a git diff without context? The difference are the line number which are relative in the without context, and the indentation that's correct on the right, on the with context git diff. After that, you can submit. So to submit, you just need to have your patch and to send an email to the hackers mailing list. Just be sure you answered every question in the submitting a patch wiki page. And I had a result that was, thanks, it's great, but there was another section missing, and maybe you could fix that too. And so it was late on Saturday or something like that, and so on Sunday I opened my computer to make it, but too late. Someone else had done it for me. Okay, and what happens next? So the patch had a new version, and after that it goes to Commit Fest with the need review status. After that, that patch didn't build anymore, so there was someone else who did another correction, so the patch could apply cleanly on the head branch. And there was another section missing, so someone else, Amit again, did another version of the patch, so that other section missing was corrected, and it was ready to be seen by committers. And just yesterday, it was committed. And now I can die because I did something. No. What next? So first, I decided to give a conf talk about that story because I was too shy to do it earlier. I could have done it years ago, but I didn't dare do it, and I didn't think I was worth it. So my message is, you're worth it. You can do it. And after that, I did some corrections there was some spelling errors in the French translation. And if you know French people, you know that spelling errors are quite as crime in France. So I did some correction. And I've been studying the code, so if you want to study PostgreSQL code, don't do like me. Read the README files. I just had forgotten that one. And so after that, I submitted for call of papers, and every proposal I made were accepted, so I had some work to do to prepare my conf talk. So let's talk about you, how you can help. I did some ranking because we all know geeks love leveling up, so here is your level, and you will see how you can level up. So a simple contributor uses PostgreSQL, shares his or her experience, and answers other questions. I'm sure everyone in this room can do that. It's quite simple. When I say sharing experience, it can be blog post, it can be on Twitter, it can be with going to meetups, to conf talks, and so on. When you answer other questions, you can go to IRC, you can answer directly in mailing list or in forums. So there are a lot of ways to contribute just in the simple contributor. But keep in mind that just going to an event, to a PostgreSQL event, is already a contribution. A great contributor, it's the next level, so maybe you can go there. I decided a great contributor creates or helps organizing a user group or meetup or an event. And or a great contributor can invest some time or money in a PostgreSQL association. And after that, you have the super contributor, and I'm sure you would like to become a super contributor because a super contributor can report bugs, so I'm sure you can report bugs, can create patches, and as you see, you don't have to be a developer even to create patches, and can review patches. So, to conclude, I want you to memorize two things. First, you're worth it and you can do it. And then anyone can patch. If I made it, really, I'm not a genius, so if I did it, you can do it. It's really that simple. And so, join the community. So I'd just like to thank my guru, Dimitri, Greg, Vic, Robert, and Alvaro, because I took a lot of their time and patience. And by the way, my company is hiring. So if you're interested, just write a mail, and I will take some questions.
Questions?
Hi there. Thank you very much for a great talk. One quick question around the documentation side. You were contributing to the core documentation in the sort of standard bundle with the software. The Postgres wiki, there's a Postgres wiki, like it's wiki.postgres.org. Is that done via Git?
No, it's not in the same place. It's the wiki page is in another place.
But is that part of the core project, or is that?
No, it's not part of the core project. It's what I think it's what I put in communications.
Sure. So I mean, yeah, I can see that there is the rare gap there, but there's big gaps in the Postgres wiki about what newbie users need. And that would be nice if they could get a bit more love and attention. But
Yeah.
thank you very much.
But just ask, and you will have permission to make it better.
Yeah, wiki.postgres.org is managed by the same Postgres infrastructure team. And so if you've got a community account and you want to edit on the wiki, you just send an email to the PGSQL www list and request editor permission and give us your login name, and someone will give you editor permission on the wiki.
So I'm a member of Postgres Europe, so that's presumably a community.
Right.
You said that anyone can register for reviewing patches. That's
Yeah.
correct? How do you determine if someone who registers for that is actually capable of doing the actual review? So if someone says this is okay, how do you know that it's actually okay based
There
on...
is more than one reviewer. So normally you don't have that risk with more than one people. And in the community, everyone knows everyone. So if you mess with the reviewing, first you will be told really gently, but after we will try to help you improve your reviewing.
But it's not a requirement for some senior level Postgres
No.
to have a stamp of approval on it?
No, it isn't needed.
Okay.
If you look at PostgreSQL code, you can read it as any book because there are so many comments, you can just switch the code lines.
Everything ultimately has to be reviewed by a committer too, so.
Yeah, yes.
Any other questions? Thank you. Just push that. Testing. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Is that loud enough in the back? Huh? You can hear it, it's on. There you go. Devram, can you hear me back there? He's ignoring me. Devram, how's the volume? How is the volume? Is the volume good enough? Yes? Yeah? Okay.